Hi, welcome to Yoga Talk. This is DIane Kovanda, and every show we talk a little bit about yoga, what's out there, what we're up to, and demo some things. So today I have with me Bob Jensen. Hey, Bob.
Hey, DIane.
Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me here. I'm a little nervous, but
I know it's really nerve-wracking.
Yeah, being filmed, but hi everybody. And
Hey.
I'm really glad to be here.
I know, and you do a special thing called Yin Yoga, and I think you're the inventor of it. You learned Yin Yoga, and then you added a piece that is heat, because you're a Bikram practitioner.
Right.
And so you loved the heat. So as you practice and teach Yin Yoga, you turn up the heat. Can you talk a little bit about what brought you to that and how you did it?
Well, like you said, I practiced Bikram yoga. That was the yoga. I practiced a lot of different types of yoga, but Bikram was the yoga that really spoke to me. They got me to practice more often. And I remember the first time I did yoga as a runner, I remember not liking to stretch. But when I started doing yoga, I was like, this is stretching. This is really good. And it complemented my running. It helped my running. It helped me recover and remain pretty much injury-free. The stretching was really important under the disguise of yoga, right? I really got a lot of benefit from that. When I found Bikram yoga, that was a type of yoga that really spoke to me and that I really wanted to do more often. As I practiced more yoga and as I ran more, there was an element that was missing. My muscles were getting stronger. I felt that I was recovering better from runs. And my range of motion was increasing, but I still didn't feel like the agility. And I know some of that was related to running and yoga are kind of like counter things. Running shortens your muscles, yoga lengthens them. But I felt there was something missing. I found Yin Yoga through Kind Yoga, through you and through Jack. I discovered that the practice of Yin Yoga was basically opening up, becoming more flexible by going deeper into the connective tissue of the joints, where I felt a lot of the tightness was. My muscles were becoming more relaxed. I was lengthening them, I was stretching them, but I was still tight. And I found that Yin Yoga, the relaxation of just letting the posture sink into the joints, increased my range of motion. I felt a little bit more flexible. My body just felt better overall. There's a whole other side of Yin Yoga that has to do with the energy and chi flow. I discovered that later on. When I combined the heat from the Bikram room, which was usually about 105 degrees,
Wow.
but it's lowered to about 100 for Yin.
Oh, only 100?
Only 100, right? Yeah. I found it was a lot easier to relax right from the start. There were no warm-ups needed to let the muscles go, to relax. There's no stretching really needed. You could just get into the posture and just relax. And the heat had a way of helping relax the muscles, getting deep in. And the two together, just to me, it was just brilliant. I just said, this is the type of yoga that I could teach. Now, I went into Kind Yoga school because I just wanted to learn more about yoga. I never intended to teach.
Yeah, look what happened.
But when I found Yin Yoga, I said, I have to share this.
I know there's a lot of people that go to your classes, and you certainly are not the type of person that's out there saying, oh, my yoga's great, come take a class with me. But people find you and they stay with you, and I hear they get a lot of benefits from the heat and the yin. And I was hoping you could show and demonstrate a few of the postures, and if somebody's at home watching, they could do them with you. Would you be willing to give us a shortened version?
Yeah.
I know they're usually sustained for quite a period of time, each posture, and we'll do it just a little bit shorter so people can get a few postures.
Yeah, in the beginning, we begin by holding the postures for a couple minutes, which is really typically a lot longer, and it's a little more difficult, especially if you're new to it. In a regular yoga posture, a minute may be a long time. In Yin, you can go up to, well, there's really no limit. Some of the postures I practice for sometimes up to 20 minutes. Typically about 5 minutes. In the beginning, 2 minutes is usually pretty good. And then we use the once we can relax into the posture and use the posture to also relax the mind and begin to pull the mind back from all the thoughts of the busy day, the to-do list, all the things that are going on in our head, to bring us back to the present moment by paying attention to what's happening right now in your body as you're beginning to relax and feel the posture come in. So it's also a mindfulness practice while you're doing
It sure is.
that physical asana. So
Yeah, and I know what folks say to me is that they get mindfulness in action with you because you cue them in these ways of they're constantly bringing their attention to the sensations, to inquiry, being curious in
Yeah.
the moment,
Right.
non-judgmental, and
Right.
it's an amazing practice of mindfulness in motion.
yeah, and sometimes it's a simple matter of just bringing the attention back to your breathing and what it feels like to breathe in your body in this posture. That's really not a natural way to be in your body, but where you can really feel it, and then notice what it feels like to breathe in this position. And it's really a total body awareness, and we all have this ability to sense where we are in space, this kinesthetic ability to know where your body is, and we have this sphere around us that is kind of like, I forget what they call it, but there's a word for it where it's your influence around where your body, your body can extend this far. Well, bringing mindfulness into the yin practice, knowing you can really sense where your muscles are, where your joints are, where the ligaments are. You can really bring your attention right down to where you're feeling deep inside your body. And it's a great thing. I really love it. It's
Pretty fantastic.
It is, and it's when you're done with the practice. My practices are, in the Bikram studio, the hot room. They're about an hour and a half, 12 to 15 postures, and when you're done, you just really feel like you've spent a lot of time taking care of yourself.
It really nourishes and
Yeah.
recharges your batteries.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
great. So will you show us some?
I will.
Great.
Sure. We'll begin with a short mindfulness sit, just to center, to relax, to bring ourselves here to this spot right now. And so if you're comfortable, you can let your eyes close or just lower your gaze down to the floor. And take a deep inhale and exhale. And then just listen to the sound of the chime. All the way through to the end. When you can't hear the chime anymore, just notice what you do here. Notice what sounds come to your ears. Maybe noticing some thoughts that come up. And just let them go. Bring your attention back to what you're hearing. And now move your attention to your breath. Just feel your natural breath as you breathe in and breathe out. And on each exhale, just try to relax. Notice if there's any tension in your body anywhere, maybe your neck or your shoulders. Just let it go. Noticing anything that's going on in your body. What does it feel like to be in your body right here, right now? Maybe you might have some soreness or achiness somewhere, or somewhere you feel really loose and relaxed. Just noticing that. And there's no way you're supposed to be feeling. Just what's there. And then back to your breath. Take a deep inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And then take one more deep inhale and sweep your arms over your head. Really stretch up. And bring your palms together and slowly come down as you exhale, stopping at heart center. Namaste. The first posture we're going to do is called butterfly. So if you sit up again and bring the soles of your feet together and pulling your stomach in, holding onto your ankles and your feet, your stomach is in, supporting your back, your shoulders are down and back, relaxed. your chin's parallel to the floor. You're sitting up as straight as you can. And then taking a deep inhale. And on the exhale, relaxing your stomach, just letting it sink, letting your hips sink, letting your stomach go. And then as you exhale more, letting your neck relax, and just letting your chin come right down to your collarbone. And let your body come forward. As your body comes forward, you may find it's easier to push your feet out a little further away from your body, and you can go ahead and do that. Letting your chin come down more, right to your collarbone. Let your shoulders relax. Let your body, upper body, roll forward. And then now the key here is using gravity to our advantage. In a lot of yoga and a lot of physical activities, we're constantly fighting gravity. We're working against gravity. In Yin, we're going to let gravity work for us. It becomes an ally as we breathe and relax. Letting gravity take over, the knees relax, the legs relax. Feel this stretching maybe in the inner thighs, stretching in your back as you relax. And as you breathe, each exhale, relaxing a little more, letting yourself go a little bit more. And just bring your awareness to where you're feeling this. And it could be a lot of different sensations in many different places. The sensation of you're feeling your back stretching, or the tightness on your inner thighs. Maybe you're feeling it into your hips, your lower back. And you may notice that as you relax in this posture, and your mind may wander out to thoughts of the day, or the to-do list, or what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? And just noticing that, being aware that you're thinking, and then bring your attention back to where you're feeling your body or your breath. And now slowly and mindfully, bringing yourself back upright, pushing yourself back. So you're sitting up again, putting your hands behind you on the mat, on the floor behind you, leaning back slightly, and then just letting one leg come out and another leg come out. There's no rush to come out of the posture. And all the while just paying attention, noticing how your body feels as you move from the posture to this posture, which is really just relaxing. Taking a deep inhale and exhale. And just letting that posture go. Now that was a short 1 minute or so. We can use these postures for up to 5 minutes or even longer. A more advanced practitioner of Yin will typically make the postures last longer. That's not the only indication of someone who's been practicing a while. The other part is really paying attention to your body and what's happening, and feeling the muscles, the joints, maybe even feeling almost down into the bones. You can bounce your legs a little bit, windshield wiper your feet. And now we're going to sit and go into a posture called, let's call it deer pose. So deer pose is bringing your left heel to your right heel to your left inner thigh, and bringing your left heel to your right hip. So this is how deer sit. If you ever notice a deer in the wild, this is how they sit. I've never noticed a deer sitting in the wild like this, but this is how those lawn ornament deer sit, if you notice those. So on this right leg is externally rotated, while the left one's internally rotated. So we're putting two different forces on the hip joint. And once you're in the posture, you may notice you're sliding off to one side or leaning to one side. You can just use your right arm to kind of prop you up. And then if you're comfortable, you can let your eyes close, take a deep inhale and exhale, and just settle into the posture, and just notice what you're feeling. as your right leg is externally rotated and the left one's internally rotated, feeling it into the hip. So this big bone going into the hip, this femur into the hip socket, is putting a little bit different compression and tension on this hip joint than on this side here. So you may feel it in one side more than the other. And just breathe and relax and notice what's happening. And again, your mind may wander out, and as it does, the moment you notice it, the moment you notice that, oh, look, I'm thinking again, without judgment, without saying that's right or wrong, just say I'm thinking, and now I'm going to go back to feeling my body again. Or you can always come back to your breath. And this quiet stillness, this waiting, not anticipating anything's going to happen, but just this quiet waiting is a big part of Yin. It's just letting what happens. Yin is very non-doing. It's waiting for things to happen, but not expecting anything to happen. Just waiting for something to happen and noticing what's happening. And by this, the more you practice, this acute sense of awareness of what's happening in your body, you just become more familiar with your body. And now just relaxing and leaning over to the right, swinging your left leg out in front, and then your right leg out in front. And then both hands behind you again. Deep inhale and exhale. And then we're going to give this tissue that we just kind of stretched and stressed and stretched, we're going to give it a little bit of time to rebound, come back on its own. And there's no rush, just noticing what it feels like as you release the posture and the tissue kind of comes back on its own without forcing it. And then when you're ready, you can take your left heel to your right inner thigh, and then your right heel to your right hip. I'm going to do just the opposite. And again, you may notice you're kind of leaning over to one side, just using your left arm to kind of hold you up a little bit. Making any final adjustments. And then again, if you're comfortable closing your eyes, just letting your eyes close. Take a deep inhale and exhale, and just settling into the posture. And then right from the beginning, just noticing where you're feeling it, what's happening. Again, there's nothing that you're supposed to be feeling. You may be feeling tensions in your hip or your thigh, in your knee. And be very careful of your knees. You know, our knees are hinges. They work one way, really. They don't work sideways too well. Just so noticing anything, if it does feel uncomfortable, that doesn't just feel right, then you just back right out of it. Because Yin happens slowly over a period of time, there's very little danger of you hurting yourself if you're paying attention, if you're noticing what's happening. And again, just settling in, watching your breath, and just inviting the posture into your body instead of trying to force anything. And it doesn't really matter what you look like. You look different than I do. And so our postures are going to look different. It doesn't really matter what's going on the outside, what it looks like. But what really matters is what you're feeling inside. And that's where you're really getting the benefit of the posture. You don't have to look like anything, but it's what you're feeling, what the sensations are, and the benefits. The benefit is to these muscles in your hip right now. You may be feeling something different than I do, but you probably should be feeling something. And then releasing the posture, coming over to the left, bringing your right leg out, and then your left leg, hands behind you, palms down on the floor. Take a deep inhale and exhale, and just let that go. And then you can shake your legs a little bit, windshield wipe your feet. And depending on how long you've been in the posture, you'll notice how long, kind of, I call it recovery or the rebound. And the longer you hold it, the longer you may want a full minute to just sit back and do nothing and let the experience of the posture leaving your body just do its thing. The next posture we're going to do is a little bit of a back bend. So coming around on your hands and knees. So even after sitting for a while, you may want to release a little bit of tension in your back, your head, neck, and shoulders. So coming into table, so your shoulders are over your palms, your hands, palms down about shoulder width, your knees are about hip width, your hips are over your knees. So just drop your head and neck and just let gravity do its thing here, and then just begin to move your hips around any way that feels good. Just to get some movement there. You can also do cat-cow if that's what you like to do. And then come down onto your stomach. And once you're on your stomach, press the tops of your feet into the floor, point your toes back, really stretch your legs back, even almost like pushing out of your hips. Bring your arms out in front like you're flying and stretch out of your shoulders. You can use even your hands, your fingers to kind of pull you along. Feel that pulling out of your shoulders. Again, being totally aware of where you're feeling this posture. If anything's uncomfortable, you just stop doing it. Take a deep inhale, stretch in opposite directions, and on the exhale, just let your whole body go and relax right down onto the floor. Taking a few breaths here. Your whole body is long, lengthened, your spine is lengthened. Probably the longest you'll be all day. And then slowly moving your palms alongside your head. Bring yourself up onto your forearms. Pressing the tops of your feet into the floor, engaging your knees, your calves, your thighs. Push your hips into the floor. Your shoulders are down and back. Pushing your pelvis into the floor. And then releasing everything from your belly button down. This posture called Sphinx is a little similar to Cobra, but we're not engaging the muscles. Once we get the posture once we feel the posture, once we're in this pose, we release everything. And as you breathe, each time you exhale, trying to relax your feet, your ankles, your knees, your glutes, your hips, your stomach. Each exhale, just relaxing a little bit more, letting your stomach sink. And then just bring your awareness again to where you're feeling this. And you feel a lot of this sensation in your lower back, in the lumbar. There's 5 vertebrae there that they're kind of like the workhorse of your back. They take a lot of abuse, especially from sitting. Back bends can be very healing. If you have any back pain or back problems, just be very careful in this posture. Again, because we practice it so slowly and mindfully, if there's anything that's uncomfortable, just back out. If you want to increase the back bend a little bit more, if you're comfortable, once you've come into this posture for a while, you're able to relax, let the muscles go, and really feeling this in your spine and in the lumbar. You can bring your hands out in front of you a little further and maybe widen them a little, and then straighten your arms. And come up into what we call a seal pose. Again, relaxing everything from the belly button down, you'll feel a little bit deeper back bend. And then breathing, and always aware of where you're feeling this posture. And noticing again as your mind wanders out. And because that's what the mind likes to do, likes to think, noticing that. You can even say, I'm thinking. And then bring your attention back to where you're feeling this posture in your body. And just trying to relax a little bit more as you breathe, inhale, exhale, letting go a little more. Noticing again if you're holding back, if you're holding any tension. And just breathe and let it go. A lot of the tension you'll find can be in the front side of your body, your stomach. And just letting that go, letting your hips sink a little more. And as this sinks, you'll notice the compression increases a little bit in your back. And each joint that you have, there's always two forces happening. One is compression and one is tension. So the compression sometimes is a little more obvious. You can feel that. And taking a deep inhale. And on the exhale, slowly letting yourself come down, releasing all the tension and the compression. Come right down onto the mat. Another deep inhale and exhale. And just for however long you need to lay here, breathing, letting all that tissue come back on its own. And when you're ready, slowly pushing yourself up onto your hands and knees again. And then curling your toes under, coming into the last posture I'm going to do right now. And lifting your hips up to the ceiling. A transition from downward dog, slowly walking your feet forward. And then coming up as far as you can, pulling your stomach in to really support your back. And then coming down into squatting. This is my favorite posture. So squatting can be extremely difficult because one, there's so many joints involved, your ankles, your knees, your hips, back. Not only those joints, but then all these big muscles from our calves, our knee, our thighs, our glutes, all these big muscle groups. So a lot of times we'll want to come up onto our toes, and that's fine. If you have a block or something, you could put it underneath. It's really nice to just be able to relax as flat as you can. So putting something underneath your heels can help you just kind of relax and just let your hips sink down. This is a very releasing posture for your lower back. It's kind of neutral. There's nothing really happening. You don't have a lot of pressure there. It's very grounding. It's a good way to be able to just feel your connection with the earth. And then with your hands, you can place them in front of you. You could use your elbows to help open up your legs a little more, bring your palms to heart center. There's really a lot of ways that you can do this. Your stomach in, making sure to support your back. You could bring yourself up to standing, bring your stomach in all the way till you're standing. And taking a deep inhale, sweeping your arms over your head. Palms together. Exhaling. Namaste.